We're going to pick up back at the shout outs. Two shout outs today. We're reading the second of two. It's a quote from a podcast I recorded last week. The rest of the country needs to adopt the Texas model of how they run their grid. It's just a pure free market. That was a quote from, I don't know if I said it. Did I say that? Let's see. There's a YouTube link in here. We'll link to it in the show notes. Yeah, it was from the Mining Trends, Bitcoin Liquidity Crunch, and Moneypreneur Go Brr with the guys from Blockware Solution. So I think that's a jab at whoever said that, potentially me. I may have said that before everything happened there. Talked to Parker Lewis last week about what happened in Texas with that whole thing, and he was actually pretty proud of Texas. 100-year storm, state of 30 million people. Maybe that was a Freudian slip. Maybe Texas will be its own country soon. Less than 100 people dying when you have those rolling blackouts, 3 million people affected by those blackouts. Yeah, so it's interesting. Matt, I think it's only you on screen right now. I don't even think
yes, it is. It is indeed. I'm glad that Parker and the Austin crew are doing all right. It was pretty vicious down there. I think it's still pretty bad. I did have a discussion with him, a great discussion with him yesterday on Bitcoin Magazine's live stream for the anniversary of Gox. Yeah, no, that's just pretty crazy. I was just a little bit distracted. Cheers to the freaks for the shout outs. I was a little bit distracted because I just wanted to retweet the new live stream link on Twitter. And it's fucking hilarious. Let's be honest. This is the freaks have been with us for years now. We're at 50K Bitcoin, and Bitcoin might not go down, but our audio problems continue.
Bitcoin never has audio problems. Bitcoin never has audio problems. This is why you stack sats and you don't stack TFTCs. And you should stack TFTCs too. I was speaking out of my ass there. Yeah, sorry for the audio issues. Bane in my existence. I thought I was going to solve them with this whole new podcast setup, and it seemed to have only gotten worse, believe it or not. The shout out for the shout outs. Thank you, freaks. Shout out to Mikey G, wherever you are. You have a good friend out there who's speaking to you via RHR. We have no idea who they are. We were talking about the fact that the price crashed earlier this week, and it was kind of ironic because the fundamentals are very strong. We talked about Square, the fact that Michael Saylor bought another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. One thing that we not touch yet is the fact that Bitfinex and Tether settled with the New York Attorney General's office without admitting any fault. They had to pay something like an $18.5 million fine, which significantly lower than I would have expected. I don't even think that's a slap on the wrist. That's like a tap on the tush, like hey, just don't let it happen again. And they didn't have to admit any fault. So Bitfinex and Tether produced 2 million documents to prove that they had one-to-one reserve. So I think the fact that they didn't admit any fault means that the Tether's fully backed. One of the biggest pieces of FUD that's continually thrown at the Bitcoin markets has been completely debunked by the New York Attorney General's office.
I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily that this means they're fully backed,
dude. Why not?
Look, I've defended Tether way too much. Like, I've had to deal with all this FUD for years. I have threads and threads. If you search on Twitter, search is super powerful. If you search from Matt Odell, from @ Matt_Odell Tether, there's just thousands of tweets where I was arguing with people about this shit. And Bitfinex and his crew, they blocked me. They went private. So they broke up all their threads and stuff. And they were wrong, right? They were wrong. Bitfinex has said since $800 he sold his Bitcoin because Tether was going to collapse the price. And even if Tether is unbacked and fails in the future, which it very may well, that is bullish for Bitcoin. People are just going to fucking run into Bitcoin in that situation. So they were completely wrong. This is an extremely bullish situation because it's a major de-risking of the space. Like there's a lot of so-called sophisticated investors who were scared about Tether, and now that there's this no fault ruling, no fault settlement for nothing, like you said, $18 million is fucking nothing. That it removes that risk for them, and you combine that with all the other bullish news we see, and it's really just prepping Bitcoin for this like massive fucking run that we already, Caps Odell has already been freaking out about. And it just adds even more fuel to the fire. And it's just pretty crazy watching all these guys that have just been super anti-Bitcoin and have been running with the Tether thing, just like in complete denial when this settlement came out.
Yeah. It's yeah, I wonder what Bitfinex is doing. Do you think he's gone forever? Hopefully we can rid ourselves of that idiot. No, I'm gonna die on this hill. Like I think people severely underestimate the fact that Tether has Bitcoin as reserves backing Tether. Like the dollar value of that Bitcoin has been increasing significantly. So like I think there's an argument to be made that there may even be like over collateralized when it comes to it.
But that was always the two sides, right? Like the side for me was I was fine with them holding Bitcoin as collateral because they're cut off from the banking system. And I think Bitcoin's the best collateral there fucking is. But to the Tether truthers, that's what they thought too, and they thought Bitcoin was going to go to zero. So it's, backed by horrible collateral. So, and Tether has never admitted to holding Bitcoin as the collateral, right? So, there is that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the whole reason Tether exists is because there's a massive banking blockade on American business, on Bitcoin businesses, globally. This is part of the reason we were talking about BitMEX, right? Like this is how they pressure companies. BitMEX got around it by just having no banking relationships whatsoever. Obviously, that only lasted for so long. And Tether was the other option. You had all these exchanges that could pop up. Binance in the early days had no fiat connections whatsoever. Like they just were able to use Tether as a connection. Poloniex, where they were able to use Tether as a connection. Bittrex, they were able to use Tether as a connection. And then they didn't have to do the banking relationships. Basically, Bitfinex, who is also like the parent of Tether, created this situation where they allowed all these little exchanges to pop up, and not have to deal with the hard side of the equation, which was the traditional banking side. So Tether by itself was always breaking the law. They were designed to circumvent U.S. regulation. I never argued against that, and that's something that like the anti-Tether people were always conflate. They would always conflate the two. And just to be absolutely clear, like I've never hold Tether. It has third-party risk. You have to trust them. The whole reason we Bitcoin is so you don't have that risk. But there's obviously a value prop for it. It doesn't compete with the regulated stable coins. It doesn't compete with future central bank digital currencies because it's black market money. It's a black market US dollar, gray market US dollar that's designed to get around all the US regulations.
Completely agree. Yeah, I've never touched Tether either. Don't plan on touching it. It does exist. People do use it. It was interesting. They went up against the New York Attorney General and got like a tap on the tush. Like even though they are a black market operation, it's interesting. Interesting they were able to do
Bullish
that. Maybe.
As fuck.
Excuse me.
Bullish as fuck. This is probably the most bullish news of the week, and there's been a lot of bullish news this week.
Yeah, and then I don't know if I certainly want to consider this bullish news, but certainly a bullish driver. Something that you don't have on the list, but I've been writing about this week is the fact that inflation is peaking its head. So there's a few things going on in the financial world that is really starting to worry me. I warned about this of April 7th of last year in the Ben Rag issue when we started the lockdowns and the Trump administration and the powers that be were talking about helicopter dropping money into people's bank accounts. Like the echoes that this particular situation has with the Weimar Republic. It's obviously not exactly the same. Weimar Republic, post World War One, they owed reparations. They weren't allowed to pay their reparations in German marks. They had to pay in other currencies or gold. And when they weren't paying their reparations back quickly enough, the French army came in and occupied the Weimar Republic. And the rulers of Weimar republics told the operators of the factories who the French were expecting to build stuff to start paying back reparations, not to go to work. And when they stayed home from work, said, "Hey, you're not working. Don't worry. We'll print money and put it in your bank accounts." And that's ultimately what led to the hyperinflationary event in the Weimar Republic. Now, obviously, here in the United States, 2020, 2021, we're not in the same exact situation. We didn't just get out of a world war. We have the US dollar as the world reserve currency. There's very nuanced differences between the two situations, but there's also a lot of similarities, right? Like we shut down the global economy, but we shut down the economy here in the US. We'll focus on the US last April of last year, as you had a global supply chain crunch underway, and the government decided to airdrop money. Again, $1,200 stimulus check, nothing too crazy. They also bailed out a bunch of people, gave out the PPP loans, and a bunch of other stimulus actions. And April 7th of last year, I said, "Hey, this doesn't seem like a good idea. You can't shut down the economy, stop people from producing goods, and then drop a bunch of money into people's bank accounts, whether it be via direct stimulus or the PPP loans, and not expect the prices of goods to go up." And since then, like every once in a while, I'll check in and be like, "Hey, it seems like things are getting more expensive." And then you have the Joe Weisenthal's of the world and the central bank academics of the world saying CPI is low. The Fed coming out and saying we need to increase CPI to higher levels than before, and then our previous targets of 2%. We're going to try and overshoot that, and all the while, like inflation has been creeping up. Like these people are again pissing in our face, telling us it's raining, and the if you go and look at the commodities prices on finviz.com, like it's disgusting how quickly and how abruptly prices have risen over the last year. So if you look at the price of cotton, copper, lean hogs, corn, soybean oil, soybean meal, oats, rough rice, soybeans, wheat, canola, crude, WTI, crude Brent, gasoline RBOB, heating oil, all of these commodities are up significantly against the US dollar. And meanwhile, the US dollar index is sitting below 90, currently at around 89.89. And you have the fiscal side about to throw gasoline on the fire with even more stimulus, 1.9 trillion as an appetizer, and talks of like 4 trillion at some point further down the road. And then this week, this is like tinfoil hat is on now. It seems like the Fed is trying to hide what's going on. They changed the way in which they're reporting the M2 money stock numbers from weekly data points to monthly data points. Oh, I can't hear you at all.
Oh, sorry. The live chat wanted me to pretend that I was talking while you were talking. We have a lot of action in live chat. I just want to say thank you to all the freaks who have joined us for the third take on the live chat. For the people who are asking, the reason we don't have a camera on for Marty is because the camera was causing the issues. Marty, the bent, that bent was like one of your best bents ever. You just like copied, you just pasted the charts of like everything going up in price.
Yeah.
Kudos.
But no, and they're saying that there's no inflation. It's like, how can you like? That's what I said. Like I was drunk. Sorry, the bank got out so late last night. I was so busy. Like I was pissed off. It's like people are parroting this. There's no inflation. There's no inflation. CPI is low. Like when the fiscal side comes in, that's probably when we'll see inflation. It's like literally shut your fucking mouth and open your eyes and just look at the charts. Like, you have to be an idiot to not recognize that these prices are going straight up. And then, like just anecdotally, my parents were in a coffee shop, and my dad over the last 6 weeks has been forwarding me emails of their suppliers saying, "Hey, just warning you, we're gonna have to raise our prices 5%, 7%." Like it's happening at the small business level too, and this is serious. And again, the fiscal side is about to pour gasoline on the fire. Excuse me. And then I was pretty black pilled this morning when I woke up. A combination of the fact that we missed our flight to Florida yesterday. Woke up at 3 a.m. To drive to Philly from the Jersey Shore. Showed up to the airport literally 2 minutes late. They wouldn't let us check our bags in. My wife was like, "We're not torturing our son. We're going home. We're gonna get the credits for the flight and go somewhere another time." So I've been up since I was up at 3 a.m. from 3 a.m. until 1 a.m. almost 22 hours straight. And like so, and then I had to wake up My son woke up at like 7 a.m. So I got 6 hours of sleep after being up for 22 hours straight. And just thinking about this all this morning, like, and I was actually
Wait,
Telegram
you're not in
messaging.
Florida?
No, I'm in Jersey. The, I was telegramming with Maddie Mazinksius um, from the Crypto Voices podcast, and like we actually did the compound annual growth rate of the BLS's report of the CPI versus Shadow Stats inflation numbers, and it's disgusting. Like if you compound the annual growth rate over the last 10 years that the BLS has reported, they're saying that you've had 1.77% inflation over the last 2 years since 2011. Real estate,
I mean,
stocks, university prices, everything says that
it's
that is
bullshit.
the
Everyone
truth.
knows it's bullshit.
Yeah,
Anyone who's got a fucking brain knows it's bullshit, right?
yeah. Fuck.
I mean, Marty, I just want to be clear here. Like, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt because I thought you were staying at some place in Florida and that's why you were having these issues. So now you don't get that benefit of the doubt, but you do get the benefit of the doubt if it sounds like it was a very, very long night.
Very,
So I'll
very,
give you
very
that.
long day. It's
Now I know why. Now I know why the bent went out at midnight.
yes. I had to work on top of all of it as well. Got a podcast in with Lynn Alden. Did a clubhouse with the oil and gas industry. But no, like back to this inflation stuff. It's infuriating. Inflation isn't here. Inflation isn't here. Maybe it will show up when the fiscal side starts stimulating. It's like, wake the fuck up, people. And the fact that the Fed is changing the way in which they're reporting this M2 data, again, has my tinfoil hat on. Like, what are they trying to hide? Are they worried that if they were to report this data weekly, that it would be such a
That's
shock to the
crazy.
market that they couldn't allow it? So they need to extend the amount of time between data points so the market doesn't get too freaked out every week. It just happens once a month.
And then they start with like the monthly, and then they're gonna like be like, oh, we're gonna switch to quarterly, and then we'll switch to yearly or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably it's like a slippery. So I like thank God we have Bitcoin. You know, I mean, if we didn't have Bitcoin, I'd be fucking freaking out right now. You know, I'd be like sounding the alarms. Inflation's here. They're lying to us. We need to solve this. Where it's fucked up and stuff. But instead, I just stay humble, stack sats. And I'm just like, you know, it is what it is. If you don't want to listen to Caps Odell, then I don't know what to tell you.
And that's why it was probably a combination of exhaustion and just frustration with, like, again, the media class and the academic economic class really parroting this line that there is not inflation, that we don't have enough inflation, really angered me. And then like had a black pill moment where like I'm worried for a lot of people. It's like, fuck, like people aren't prepared for this. A lot of people take what these idiots are saying at face value and like, yeah, everything's fine, don't worry. And it's going to sneak up. That's the thing. It's going to fucking sneak up. And people aren't going to be prepared for it, which makes me worried. And which is why we do this show. Stack Sats. I don't want to HFSP people. Ryan fan. I have the comments open. Okay.
Well, that's good since you don't have the video. You should at least have the comments, the live chat open. I like what Rodolfo was saying now. Instead of it's have fun buying higher. Another thing that I thought was interesting was on my conversation with Parker yesterday. I asked him, you know, Parker has this great blog series, Gradually, Then Suddenly. And I think a lot of people think like Caps Odell means that we're in the suddenly phase. Like it doesn't. Like Parker agrees with me. We're still in the gradual phase. When the suddenly phase happens, you're gonna fucking rip your face off. So I know the freaks are prepared. We're just preaching to the choir here.
I think we're ending, or we're nearing the end of the gradually phase. Honestly, like the fact that the fiscal side wants to throw this 1.9 trill stimmy on the markets with another 4 trill down the road. We had another repo spasm a couple weeks ago, and if you go listen to the conversation with Lynn that I had yesterday, she does an incredible job of breaking that down. It's not exactly like what happened in 2019. It's actually the opposite. There was too much cash and not enough treasury duration matchup. You had Fedwire go down all day yesterday. You had another pump in GameStop. Like there's like all these tremors and these alarms going off, at least in my head. Maybe I'm too tinfoil hatty and like paranoid, but like I don't know. It seems like something's going on.
Yeah, I mean, something's obviously going on. We've been saying this for years. So this is why we Bitcoin. It's one of the reasons we Bitcoin. Bitcoin is hope. Bitcoin allows you to opt out. Bitcoin's a lifeboat. Um, and I'm just super grateful we have it as an ability to, not have to participate in this fucking ridiculousness that is going on right now. And it's done in such a bad faith way. There's few people talking about this in any kind of good faith.
It's gaslighting. It's straight up gaslighting, dude. In which like the whole controlled demolition conspiracy theory starts to like make more sense. Like, because if you actually like understand what's going on, if you actually just look at the charts, like it's obvious that they're lying. Like all you have to do is again shut your mouth and stop parroting what they're saying and open your eyes and look at the charts. Like prices are skyrocketing. It's weird. The psychology of it all on a mass scale really freaks me out.
I don't know, Marty. Prices seem to be going down for me.
That's it. Your cuckbuck's not getting you more sats this week than it did last week. So be aware. Be aware. Onto more white pilled stuff. Onto building. Onto optimism. Yeah, the 10-year yield that spiked up this week too. It's fucking god damn it. All right, good stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. Teleport transactions, coin swap implementation. Pretty massive.
But before we talk about that, I mean, I think we should talk about Taproot real quick. A bunch of
Okay.
freaks were asking us to talk about it again. I mean, we talked about it last week. I don't know exactly where the confusion is. Maybe they didn't listen to RHR. But basically, there's this discussion of this lot value. And you can either do lot equals false or lot equals true. And there's two questions. There's a question is, what should the default ship as for core, Bitcoin core? And alternatively, regardless of the default, what should individuals choose to run? And basically, lot equals false has the miners activate Taproot. Lot equals true says at this date we're going to activate Taproot regardless. And if you haven't, then there will be a fork in that situation.
Well, there's more nuance, right? Like lot false is purely miner activated soft fork. Lot true is miner active soft fork. If they don't activate it, you get the user activated soft fork behind it.
Well, I mean, if the miner's activated first, then okay, right? But it's just going straight into a user activated soft fork if it's lot true, because at the end of the day, like the miners know, like at this date, it's going to be a UASF, right?
Yeah, but
Regardless.
they could
So
activate
and
it
then there's
before
a middle
then.
ground, right? But that's not giving them an option. That's just saying, I have a gun to your head, comply or you'll get shot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So then there's a third option where you go lot false. You let the miners see if the miners go along with it. If they play fucking games and we want to be conservative, they play games, then in the future we can go into lot true. And then we can force the hand.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
so to be clear here, like it's a very dangerous precedent, I think, for core to ship default lot true. I think core needs to ship default lot false, because otherwise there's a perception, rightfully so, I think, that the devs are pushing this decision. They're pushing this decision as this fork as a default, this soft fork as a default. At the same time, though, if core ships lot false, doesn't mean there won't be like a bunch of toxic Bitcoiners who will manually switch to lot true. So anyone who's considering, as a miner, considering not activating in the allotted time will take that into consideration, and they'd be encouraged to obviously go along with it to not create disruption. Does that make sense?
yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense. I agree. Yeah, a lot true is a gun to the head. And yeah, it's weird. Like a lot of people are attacking developers. And like and everybody like, oh, we're gonna use activated soft fork. We're gonna use activated soft fork. Like I said last week, I don't get why everybody's so up in arms about this. Like I think it's gonna be pretty easy. Like I don't see any miners actively posturing like they're not gonna activate this. I think we're making something out of nothing, potentially nothing. And yeah, like you said, like lot false. If the miners don't activate it, then you can have the user activated soft fork. Somebody will have
I
to.
think part of the issue is that we don't have like a set way to handle this stuff. So like I would like that in the future we have like a process in place, which is this process. I think you go to miner signaling first, and if the miners don't activate, then you can do a user activated soft fork afterwards.
Yeah, and I think
And then
there's
we don't even have to have this discussion every time. Like we shouldn't be discussing activation methods every single time we need to activate a soft fork.
and
It
I think
should
there's an
be
important
or consider activating one.
I
Right.
think there's an important distinction to make here too. Like I think maybe there's a belief that with lot false, you're abdicating the decision to the miners, which to a sense is true, but like it's really like a preparedness thing, right? Like you just want to make sure that the miners are ready to upgrade so there's not a chain split. You don't have some hash going off on one chain and another part of the hash rate going off on another. Like it's a preparedness thing, not a power thing. Is that a correct
It's also,
framing?
yeah, I mean, it's also just nice that you just have multiple parties all agree on something in a process, right? So the devs ship it, and then the miners agree, and the users are running their nodes at the same time, and all these different user groups are all coming to terms with it and agreeing with it on a schedule, and it happens. I would say, like, metaphorically, the difference is it coming a lot true off the bat, especially default core, is like holding a gun to their head loaded, going lot false with the intention of going lot true if we have to in the future, is like having a loaded gun in your holster. Like it's still there, you still got the fucking gun, you can point it at them in the future if you need to, but there's no reason to just go straight to pointing it to their head if you don't have to.
Yeah, especially considering the precedent. That's it. Yeah, I think we're in agreement here. Lot false with a separate user activated soft fork if need be.
I just want to say, there's two people who have really embraced the caps on Twitter. It's our boy Brian Lockhart and Lop. Lop has fucking gone all caps. Like he sent one out yesterday or today. It was like lot equals false, send tweet, all caps. Just fucking send it
I
out.
saw that. Yeah, I'm on team lot false. I'm on team lot false.
There's going to be a bit of controversy on. I think if a user wants to go lot true, that's one thing. Like I might go lot true myself, but I think core ships lot false. Like the default should be false.
You'd have to create your own binary to do that, wouldn't you?
There's someone's going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other question.
There'll be the version that's lot true version.
And they can't config it, right? So you could pick in the release, right? Like they can't make it optional for the
I would
user.
like I prefer if there's like a toggle in the fucking release, to be honest. Like an easy way for someone to do that. I don't know if they're doing that or not, but that would be the best to me. You default it to lot false and you make it easy for someone to enable it if they want to. That would be the safest way, in terms of you don't have to have users downloading from some other source. They know I'm going to download core from where I usually download core from, and I just enable one way or the other.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best. And personally, I think that's the cleanest going forward. You have a new thing you want to activate, you ship it, and users can choose if they want to go user activated or not. Right?
Yeah. I agree. We're in agreement here. And again, like I think we're making a lot out of something that doesn't need to be a lot. But hey, these are the tough conversations that need to happen.
The important thing is we love Bitcoin. Bitcoin is scarce. Bitcoin is hard money because it's hard to fucking change.
Right.
Like this is not Ethereum. We can't just ram an update through everyone. And that's fine. Like we can wait. Like if Marty has to pay the million sats to HRF because we don't activate till January 2022, so be it. Like it's not the end of the world.
This is true. I'll be happy to give up those sats because it's going to a great organization. But yeah, no, I would never try to pressure the network to do something because I'm going to lose a bet. Yeah, it is hard to change. This is actually, maybe we'll look back a few years from now. Maybe Taproot won't be activated. Maybe it will be. regardless if it is or isn't, we'll look back and be happy that it was this hard to come to this decision. Right? So that proves that Bitcoin is hard to change, which reinforces its whole value prop. God, I fucking love Bitcoin. I fucking love Bitcoin. Thank God we have fucking Bitcoin, dude. And like, it's just invigorating at all times. These conversations, getting into the arena of ideas, whether it be on Twitter, on the mailing list. Not that I participate in the mailing list, I'm too intimidated. Probably not wanted there. Other forums. It's beautiful. It's beautiful chaos. Beautiful rough consensus. This is what it's all about, freaks. Embrace it, enjoy it, soak it in. Now, can we get to teleport transaction?
Fuck yes, let's go.
Yeah. So we've been following this since last May. Chris Belcher announced last May that he had designed a spec of an implementation of CoinSwap, an idea that has been around since 2013, I believe. Greg Maxwell came out with it in 2013.
I mean, it was like similar timing as CoinJoin, right?
Yeah, around then. I think Greg Maxwell proposed this idea with somebody else. I forget exactly who. It sat there as an idea in the internet for 7 years. And then Chris Belcher said, hey, I think I have a design spec for this. He went out and raised some funds so that he could focus on it. In December, he teased the world with the first ever CoinSwap transaction on testnet, or multiple transactions actually. And then last week, he announced on the mailing list that he has a working, basically wallet implementation called Teleport Transactions. I'll let you take it from here, Matt.
I mean, he did his own test via testnet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think an implementation has been released yet.
No,
I think it was more of it.
It's like built out, not used yet, the way I understand it.
One thing that was interesting is he mentioned two elements there. It could be a standalone implementation, like something like Join Market, or it could be built out in a way that it could be easy to implement into other wallets. And I think that we need that second one, right? Like really the power of something like CoinSwaps becomes really practical and useful at scale if we get it implemented into the major wallets. And then people don't even really, and then that way Chris doesn't have to deal with UX and stuff like that, right? Because let's be honest, like UX isn't Join Market strong suit. It just needs to be like a very
transaction
strong
format,
interoperable implementation that can just be put into any kind of wallet.
Yeah, completely agree. And so the way CoinSwap is different than a CoinJoin, right? Is a CoinJoin is you mask your UTXO and a bunch of other similarly or exactly sized UTXOs in a transaction. You get privacy via obscurity. You don't know. You join in this CoinJoin with same size UTXOs, and it's hard for the chain analysis companies to actually decide which UTXO you own at the end of the day, or the others in that CoinJoin owns. It makes it harder, especially if you do multiple rounds. CoinSwap, it allows you to create a transaction in which you can send different amounts of Bitcoin in a private fashion. So you send to two address. Like, how does it work exactly, Matt? Like you say that you're sending it from A to B, but in reality, it ends up in another wallet.
Okay, so this is the metaphor. You ready? Let's see if this metaphor works. CoinJoin is you have 5 people. We're in a room together, 5 people. We each have a gold coin. We put it into a smelter and we melt that gold of those 5 gold coins, and then we pour them into 5 new gold coins. That's a CoinJoin transaction. Okay. A CoinSwap transaction is you give me your gold coin, I give you my gold coin.
Yes.
So the negative of a CoinSwap is, since you gave me your gold coin and I gave you my gold coin, you're trusting me with your privacy. So in order to implement it in a trust minimized manner, you basically need to do multiple coin swaps in a row so that you might know the next party, but at the end of the day, when it goes through 5 coin swaps, you don't know where it ended up. You don't have to trust anyone with your privacy. As long as one person in that process was, not a Sybil attacker, not a malicious attacker.
Thank you for breaking that
Does that
down
make
for me.
sense?
Yes, makes a lot of sense.
Dope.
And then you can combine CoinSwap, CoinJoin, Join Market, all these
Marty,
solutions.
you're not allowed to
MetaMP.
look in the live chat.
Excuse me?
You're
I
not
didn't
allowed to
look
be
in
in
the
the
live
live chat.
chat.
That's just me and the freaks.
I didn't look at the live chat. I wasn't in there.
You commented. I tried my best here. I see your comment.
I did try my best. On to software updates. A lot of software updates, a lot of big things happening. Spectre version 1.2.0 has been released. Shout out to the Spectre team. Anything big there that you want to mention?
No, I don't have anything on the updates. I've been
Okay,
too
Onion
busy
Share version
fixing
2.3.
my
Well, you're gonna
internet.
have to explain this one because I haven't seen Onion Share on the list yet. What is it?
Oh, Onion
Or-
Share, I actually can't talk about that. That is a big one. The Onion Share. So Onion Share is this piece of software that you can run on your computer. Historically, it was used for 2 main things. You could share a file. So like if I wanted to share a file with you, let's say this podcast recording afterwards, I'd run it and it would give me an Onion link and I would give you that Onion link and then it would just automatically transfer encrypted via Tor the file between the two of us with just the piece of software. Pretty cool. And then it also allowed you to host like a static Tor website. So like if you just had a website that was like HTML or plain text, you can just put it into Onion Share and you can just host it from your computer, just any computer. And it gives you an Onion link and you all of a sudden you have a Tor only website. So really fucking cool little piece of software. He added a new feature where now you can P2P direct chat privately via the Tor network, which is it's just a really slick way to take advantage of Tor's features in a UX like very UX forward friendly way.
Hell yeah. Like, what's going on with Tor? Can we trust Tor anymore?
It's the best we have.
Is
But
it though?
don't think
Like-
it's perfect. Don't treat it like it's perfect. But I think if you're not running a hidden service, if you're not running like a dark market or something, it's probably private enough for the overwhelming majority of users. We don't see like widespread de-anonymization of users, especially if they're staying within the Tor network. But yeah, like, the freaks know I have my concerns with it. There's nothing really usable at scale besides it. So
Agreed. That's like one notice actually used in Brave as my browser on Mac Mini. I got away from Chrome. It makes it a lot easier to just like get into Tor. No?
so
You
that
don't
came
use-
out this week. I forgot to put it on the list.
Oh well, thank God I brought it up. What's going
Fucking
on?
Tor. So I always thought one of the coolest parts of Brave was that they had the Tor browser built into the private, like incognito mode. It turns out they leak all of your Tor traffic to the DNS provider over ClearNet. They just patched it. So if you've been using the Tor feature on Brave,
Lovely.
there's been like a major activity privacy leak to usually, I guess your ISP usually is usually your DNS provider.
Awesome.
So that's
Yeah.
not great.
No, happy I brought it up though. Now I know.
Well, it's supposedly fixed now, but they have a horrible track record. The problem with Brave is like they have reasonable defaults and it's pretty cool in terms of like, I like that it's a stripped down version of Chrome and it's got ad block and stuff, but there's just not enough eyes on it. There's not enough eyes on it. And I really question the motives of the team over there. I mean, what's his name? The
Brendan
guy who
Eich.
invented, Brendan Eich. Like he's just like,
Shit winner.
he's a bit of a dirtbag, he's just trying to monetize you. He's got like Binance ads when you create a new tab and shit, crypto.com ads and shit. So it's the incentives. It's not proper open source software. It's just like, it just seems wrong.
Yeah, maybe I got to try out the center now. Gab's
You
implementation.
got to get Chromium. You got to get Chromium. Just de-Googled Chromium.
I can
I'll look
download
it
that
up.
on my Mac. I don't need that on Android.
Correct.
Awesome. Moving on. Ride the Lightning version 0.10.1 has been released. Go down that. There was actually something pretty big in that, wasn't it? They add bolts or something. Bolts compatibility.
I think they integrated swaps into there.
Yeah.
Do you see Bosworth fucking flexing on people again with Lightning?
No, what was he like sharing his routing node?
Well, first of all, people, yeah. So, and to the freaks that are unaware, I've said in the past, like it's, Alex Bosworth, like legendary in Lightning. He's like, I'm one of the main Lightning developers. He runs some of the most connected nodes. Um, Nodes in Lightning Pool, where the liquidity marketplace, are ranked on a score method called the Boz score, which stands supposedly for balance of Satoshis, but it's also the first three letters of his last name. And he oftentimes tweets out like how much he's making in routing fees, and it makes people think they can get yield easily from running a private, Lightning routing node. And I always think that's misleading because he's super well connected. And the average user is going to be going through Tor only, and it's way harder to have a performant routing node if you're going through Tor only. But anyway, and also I just think it's this idea of trying to seek yield on an asset that's designed to pump forever is ridiculous. Like you're talking about like, oh, I want to get 6% on my Bitcoin. And meanwhile, it goes up 20% one day, drops down 20% the other day. And like, meanwhile, you're like trying to get 6% or 5% or whatever. Like, you fucking ridiculous.
There's no counterparty
It's a
risk. I
new
don't think that's
paradigm.
ridiculous.
What?
There's no counterparty risk.
There's counterparty risk if you use Lightning.
If you have a watchtower,
there's definitely risk. Okay, besides the point, I'm just saying this idea, this yield idea needs to be like nipped in the bud a little bit. This idea that like the base yield of a deflationary asset is holding the deflationary asset. The risk-free rate of return is number go up, is just the number going up. And the return is going to be unfathomable for people that we don't realize how high the number is going to go up. If you want to try and get 4%, on Lightning, 2% on Lightning, or 6% on BlockFi, and keep it with the centralized custodian, I guess fine, fucking go for it. But it's a dumb fucking decision as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, that's besides the point. Alex tweeted out like he has a channel that's got a capacity of $250,000, and he's like it really hit me when you sent an instant payment worth 10K. How transformative Lightning was. And I was just like, are you, this is like I don't know.
Flex.
It's just a funny tweet.
That is a boss flex. Shout out to Alex. I mean, he's forging the way. Like his first mover advantage is going to be pretty significant.
That's what he said. He said 10K for 10 cents, instantly settled, transformative.
That's insane. 10K for 10 cents. Was that 0.0001? 3 zeros? Freaks do the math.
I don't pretend to do math live on RHR.
I think I got it right.
I'm opting out of that.
I think I got it right. Moving on. Hexa Wallet version 1.4.5 has been released. Disclaimer: Matt's an advisor of this software. They added buys, didn't they? They've been in there for a while. Yeah, buy Bitcoin with Apple Pay. That's what they added. It's pretty big.
They added. It's called Ramp. Have you heard of Ramp.network?
I have not.
Neither have I. But it has Apple Pay support. Pretty low fees. I think it's like 0.5% or something.
Yeah, Apple Pay, debit, credit cards, and bank transfer. That seems pretty big for Hexa. Samurai Dojo version 1.9.0 has been released. If you freaks are using Whirlpool, we highly recommend that you use your own dojo, so you're not depending on somebody else's node. If you're not going to download your own, at least use somebody that you trust. I mean, I like the Samurai team and everything they built, but just to live within the ethos of what we're doing here, don't trust, verify for yourself, and to abdicate that risk to yourself or a very trusted individual that you know and can trust, an Uncle Jim, if you will. Anything about this dojo upgrade that you want to talk about? I don't think.
No, I haven't dove into it yet. but it seems like a good one. I mean, they're making great strides just in terms of performance and reliability.
Yeah, I think it's just UX improvements from what I can tell. MyNode version 0.2.27 has been released. If you're running MyNodes, go check out that. Sparrow Wallet version 1.2.0 has been released. You had Simon on Tuesday. I wasn't able to check that episode yet. How was that?
Not Simon, Craig. Good Craig.
Good Craig. That's who it was.
Not bad Craig. Craig Raw. First podcast ever.
How'd he do?
So that's always. It was great. It was a good conversation. I think Sparrow's completely underrated. The freaks should go listen to that dispatch if they haven't. It caught me off. I mean, I think it caught you off guard too, right? Like Sparrow just hit us, it blindsided us.
Yeah, the first time we talked about it, I was like, "How have we not seen this?"
Yeah, it's performant. It's clean. The UX is great. This guy, like he's a massive adversarial thinker, which is what we want to see in the space. He comes in as a NIM, which is also, pump the NIMs. Let's fucking go. Like I'm just super bullish on Sparrow. It was really great to have him on. He's from South Africa, so our live stream literally started at midnight his time, and ended at 3 a.m. So props to him. And yeah, it was just I'm just really blown away by Sparrow. I think it's a great project.
Craig Raw. Sorry for calling you Simon. I don't know why. I thought your name was Simon there for a second.
Well, that was because the week before I had the mempool guys on, which was Wiz and Simon.
That's what it was.
There you go.
Blockstream Green adds encryption to the wallet metadata. Finally, big update. It's taken them a while. So now
this was my update.
Blockstream servers doesn't know your labels, correct?
Yeah, they would know your labels and your account labels. Like all the metadata, all the metadata wasn't end-to-end encrypted. Now it's end-to-end encrypted with your seed. And the big one was the account labels, which would they still automatically get restored, but now they're end-to-end encrypted with your seed. Before they weren't. And if you update, it will automatically delete your clear text ones and replace it with the end-to-end encrypted ones after you update. But this was massive. This was a thing that I've been asking for a while. So it's really great to see.
How can they replace that? Like, wouldn't they have to know it? Wouldn't they know it if they replace it?
Well, when you update, then they end-to-end encrypt it from that point on. And they delete whatever they had previously.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. River. Shout out to our boys at River, Alex Leishman and crew. They raised $17.3 million to build out the rest of their product. It's base team building a product from scratch. They're handling all of the security, the custody of the Bitcoin. They're onboarding customers, educating them. So I'm very happy to see that Alex and his team are getting support from investors. They need to get into more states. They're pretty limited in the amount of states that they're available in right now. And so hopefully they can take these funds and go hire people to get expansion and build out the product more. Very, very impressed by the River team, and they're pretty based and very aligned with Bitcoin's ethos. So congrats to the River team. Keep crushing it.
Yeah, cheers to them. Their product seems fantastic. I obviously haven't gotten to try it yet because of the states. They're not available in New York yet. And to be frank, honestly, like I'm not going to sign up for another KYC product, but it seems like they're building great things. And so cheers to them.
Yes. Big news for you. Bottle Pay is back, baby. Bottle Pay is back. How's it feel?
Disclosure, Matt's an advisor of Bottle Pay. They fucking, I had to sit on this fucking shit for a while before it got released. But dude, the VC market is frothy as fuck. Bottle Pay raised 15.5 million. at a 70 million valuation post money, for a company that hadn't relaunched yet, right? So they relaunched, basically as like a Cash App Strike hybrid kind of deal. So it has full Lightning integration, with withdrawals and deposits. But it also has, you can do hourly auto stacking, you can do daily auto stacking, you can do weekly auto stacking. You can do like Cash App, you can send, euros or pounds, eventually dollars between accounts, or you can send sats. So it's like it's a pretty massive goal they have. And they're going right now, they're UK only, then they go EU, then they come to America. So they're going like in the opposite direction of Cash App and Strike.
Yeah. I mean, I was a huge Bottle Pay fan before they had to they didn't really have to. That was the admirable thing about what they did. They shut down because they didn't feel comfortable thrusting all the regulations on their clients after having been using the app for so long. So they shut down, recalibrated. Now they're relaunching with an adjusted roadmap, and it seems like a pretty dope one, like you just mentioned. And yeah, I'm happy for the team, for you. Disclosure, Matt's advisor. No, it's just good to see good people succeeding, and their product was dope before they had to. Again, they decided to shut it down, not had to.
Yeah, I mean that is, and it's super commendable, and I want to see more projects do this in this type of situation. But they had a KYC free product, that never interacted with fiat. It was just easily sending sats between people, using Lightning and using social media handles. And AMLD5 in Europe, got, they also had like the Brexit, they're a British based company. They also had like the Brexit things happening at the same time, right? But at the time they were EU, because they were in England. And AMLD5 happened. They had to implement KYC, by a certain date. I think it was like January 15th or something of 2020, which feels like a decade ago. And instead of doing shotgun KYC, people have funds on the thing and make them do KYC to withdraw. They said we're closing down completely. They returned all user money. They stopped all their momentum. They had like a ton of fucking user momentum of using it. And now they came back, and it is a KYC product because they have to do KYC. But they were like, if we're going to do KYC anyway, we might as well just go ham on the fiat integration side, right? So they built this, and it's very similar to River or Strike in that they built out a proper connection, to the fiat world. So like other companies, they're not relying on a third party to handle their fiat to Bitcoin and their Bitcoin to fiat. So they will be the integrator. Like if another app, some like random finance app wants to integrate sats into their app, they can do it all through BottlePay's API. So there's this whole like corporate integration side, and they basically just were like, KYC sucks, but we might as well lean into it if we're going to be forced to do it.
Dev suites, smart idea. Again, freaks, I'll keep beating this dead horse until it turns into a zombie and attacks the creator that made it. KYC is completely ineffective. AML is completely ineffective. The people who thrust these rules on the globe, on everybody that lives on this planet, break these rules consistently. Again, we lived in a two-tiered system. The people implementing these regulations don't follow them usually. They buddy up with people like Jeffrey Epstein, like the Mexican drug cartels, other pedo and drug dealers, and they let them do what they want to do. While me and you can't send $3,000 worth of Bitcoin to each other because that's just not good. You can't have the plebs sending $3,000 worth of cuck bucks or 3,000 cuck bucks worth of sats to each other without knowing exactly who they are. We need to be able to track them in case they get out of line. All right. We need to be able to track everything they're doing to prevent money laundering. Every pleb is convicted of money laundering before they even do it. You're guilty until you're proven innocent. You got to give up all this personal information. You got to give it to the banking and financial system that can't even keep their systems up. You got to give it to them so they can store it in their insecure databases that have been prone to hacks throughout the years. You got to give them where you live, when you were born, your social security number, a picture of what you look like, the addresses that include the amount of Bitcoin you hold in. You got to give this up for your own safety. Give it to them. They want to protect you. They care about you. Give them all this information. They love you. They don't want to butt fuck you into the digital panopticon at all. That's not what they're trying to do. Just give them the info. They need it. They need it to keep you safe, freaks. They fucking need it. Give it to them.
It hits different when I can't see your face.
Yeah, what is this like for you right now?
It's a little bit strange. I mean, it's fucking hilarious. The freaks are only seeing me, so I'm just they like when they hear you, they're just looking at my reactions to I guess you and the live chat.
You should do a
because
bit.
I am watching the live chat.
I'm your inner voice. You're just having a conversation with yourself right now.
That is basically what isn't that what we've been doing for the last 2.5 years? I have a random topic that I wanted to bring up.
Okay. We've got 10 minutes. We got a hard stop at like 3:59, so like 9 minutes, but bring it up.
What?
I've got a call. That's why we started recording early.
Yeah, but you're supposed to tell me about the hard stop before now.
All right, let's get into the topic.
Did we hit the rest of the list? Okay, so wait.
Gladstein's article. Can government stop?
Yeah, we only have one thing left. Yeah, Gladstein's article. Go check it out. Can government stop Bitcoin? He did it in, I don't know how to pronounce the brand, Quillette. So go check that out. It was a good piece, as usual, from Gladstein. The subject I wanted to bring up is Trace Mayer came out of hiding. He literally came out of hiding a year to the day after his last tweet, before he went dark. So he was caught shilling like the most bottom tier shit coin ever. This Mimble privacy coin. After he was shaming Bitcoin privacy activists, advocates, myself included, and saying like CoinJoin was illegal, all this shit. And then it turns out he had this privacy bag that he was shilling, which is the biggest hypocritical thing ever. Because like if your argument is that CoinJoins are going to be illegal, your fucking privacy coin is going to be illegal as well. So like if that's the argument, like you've fucking lost already. And then it turns out that he was shilling the shit coin. Okay, fine. I understand, guys. Trace has done a lot for the space. So then he should acknowledge that, and he should fucking apologize and ask for forgiveness and explain himself. But instead, what did he do? He was a coward and he fucking disappeared. And a lot of people said, oh, he's doing it for OPSEC reasons. Well, here we are at 50K a Bitcoin a year later, and he's doing just a CoinDesk interview with like the worst person ever, Tim Swanson. He said I didn't understand economics at fucking $200 a Bitcoin when I said people should fucking hodl Bitcoin. And he was like, you don't understand economics. And to this day, he's like, even though it went from $200 to $50,000, doesn't mean that you should understand economics. Okay, Tim. So Salty Tim was on the feed with him.
Tim looks like he has infant alcohol syndrome.
And Trace just didn't acknowledge it whatsoever. And if it wasn't like, I hope that the hive mind would have noticed, but like I was fucking on that like a fucking, like if Trace thinks that I want to fucking forget that shit, like he's out of his fucking mind. Like I was like, what the fuck? He just came in just to talk about Tether, just like out of nowhere. So I mean, look, Trace, if you want to come back into the public square, like, can we have some acknowledgement of what happened? Can you discuss what happened? Can you talk about the mistakes that were made? Because obviously Mimble is garbage. It's been going to zero since you shilled it.
Agreed. And you're talking to somebody who's sat down with Trace face to face multiple times, had lunch with the man. It is extremely disheartening, to say the least. Perplexing. And then it makes you think, like, what is your motive? Like, do you really care about Bitcoin? Like you need to man up about this. Like it was objectively a pretty shitty move. I mean, it's pretty public. Like American Hodl reported on what exactly happened at the Confiscate conference last year, which is like he pulled HODL aside, said, "Hey, you should be buying Mimble coin. I own like a vast majority of this coin. It's gonna pump." And
You
again,
realize what
like
happened there, right?
yeah, like Matt mentioned, it was on completely false pretexts and completely hypocritical because like if Mimble coin was going to succeed, uh, like it would have the same scrutiny as CoinJoining would if you were even believe that CoinJoin is illegal in the first place, which it isn't. Yeah, yeah. No, Trace,
Um,
if you want to come on and discuss, the invite is open. Like we'd love to have a heart to heart, bring you back into the fold if you'd be so willing to apologize for being a bit scammy.
just to be clear here, like people say to me, like, "Oh, he's done a lot. Like we should forgive him." Like you don't forgive someone until they like acknowledge what happened and ask for forgiveness. You can't just disappear and fucking like that's not how things. That's not how mature adults fucking deal with things. That's not how people who respect their audience fucking deal with things. Also, just to be clear, like American Hodl gets a little bit too much credit for calling out Trace. I noticed Trace was doing this anti-privacy shtick
Well, he
and
did it on
something was
TFTC.
suspicious. Yeah, I know he did without me on it. And he did it on Stefan's podcast and he did it through the at Bitcoin handle. And the culmination was at Unconfiscatable, he did it live on a video with American Hodl and what's his face? Adam Meister. And they were like, oh, I wouldn't coin join. That's like you're doing it with North Koreans, like and all this shit. And I took that video and I posted on Twitter and I was like, this is fucking cuck mentality. And then coincidentally, like an hour later, American Hodl called out Trace Mayer. So there's a little bit of peer pressure there.
Ooh. Matthew. We all know you're calling this out as well. Group effort. It was a group effort. I'm just
Yeah,
the
I
voice
just
in your head. Like I can see the YouTube right now, and you're just sitting there, and I'm just like, I mean, we should do like a skit out of this or something. At some point. Spitballing here. I've got to run in 3 minutes.
the
What should we end it on?
Count Bitcoin said he was the one who called him out on Adam Meister's show in the comments. So cheers to Count Bitcoin as well.
Thank you, Count.
I mean, can you hear the heat on that just turned on? Like it's like sounds like a loud vacuumish noise.
No, I can't. You're good.
Okay, that's good. Marty's owl, I will never hoot. So forget about that. That's never gonna happen.
Apparently, we're going to be on 60
Marty,
Minutes this year.
Marty, we are going to be on 60 Minutes this year. We're going to call Anderson Cooper a cuck mentality. That was fucking hilarious. I want to ask you, what do you think RHR next week? What do you think? Are we going to be over 60K by RHR next week?
You're always the bullish guy. I'm going to be bullish. We're going to be 65K by this time next week. Book it.
There we go. Cosign.
Book it. Freaks. They're gaslighting us, freaks. They're lying to our faces. They do not care about you. They do not care about me. They are lying. Shut your fucking mouths. Open your eyes. Look at the charts. Stack sats. Enjoy your lives too. Go forth, multiply, raise strong families. Be the change you want to see in the world.
I love you, freaks. Stay humble. Stack sats.
Peace and love. We're still live. I've got another minute here. We can keep the live going for you freaks. I haven't had too much to drink, Luke. If you must know, I had a glass and a half. You know what it is? I'm a little nervous because we've fucked up the audio and I feel bad. Screw you, Luke.
No, but we have it locally recorded. We're gonna be good.
Yeah, it's all locally recorded. All right. I actually do have to go to sign into like my other Zoom account and go talk to people.
Love you, freaks. Thank you for joining us for the third take. That means a lot. You guys are the ride or die motherfuckers.
Do you want the host or do you have to go do something?
No, I'm gonna go have a party.
All right. Love you, brother. Tell your loved ones I said what's up.